That's a little bit better. It is a stunner from Fabio Quagliarella. Top again for Jacko, who's in for Roma and scores.
Ciao ragazzi, and welcome to another edition of Serie Sitdown, World Football Index's podcast of Calcio told like it is. I'm Frank Ravello. He's Richard Carmen. Ciao, Richard.
Ciao, Frank. How are we doing on this Tuesday evening? I'm losing track of days.
Yeah, we're doing good. I see you are finally sitting down again for the first time in, 4 days? So,
yeah, exactly.
After what happened to your Schalke boys. Not to go off topic, but wow.
My goodness. Yeah.
Folks, I texted Richard before that game and I asked, am I going to be in for a surprise with your boys today here, or am I going to watch a 2-hour beating? And he just texted back and said, well, I've got my shots lined up already. And this was 30 minutes before kickoff. So he knew it was coming.
I knew. I don't mess around. I'm not a romantic. I know exactly what's going to happen. And it sure did.
You were realistic. You get credit for that. And what's with the Lazio shirt?
Yeah. So, we were on the Calcio Connection podcast recently, and we were talking about bets and stuff like that. And last year, I made a stupid bet with Jerry Mancini, and I said Milan were going to finish ahead of Lazio, and if they didn't, I'd buy a Lazio kit, and if Milan finished ahead, then he would buy Milan. Obviously, Lazio were one of the best teams last year. They beat Milan, so I bought a jersey. I bought a Hernan Crespo, so he played with Milan, so that's kind of Milan jersey, right? So I wore it, and then we went on their show recently for a preview pod, and I challenged Jerry to two different bets. One was, I picked Juventus to stay in Serie A, and if they get relegated, then I would lose. He didn't want to take that bet. I understand that. And then the second bet, he wanted to redo the same bet we did last year, and I said, no. We already did that bet. Let's do Cagliari and Bologna. If Cagliari finish ahead, I win the bet. If Bologna win, then you win the bet, whatever. And we'll see if he takes me up on that. As I'm putting it on the air, so maybe you can convince him here. A couple people are starting to poke at him. Let's see.
Sure.
We'll find out. But I'm wearing the Lazio jersey either way.
Sure. Well, you're a better man than I am. I wouldn't put a Lazio shirt on, even if I did lose the bet.
Hi, Jerry.
I would have Jerry just reaching out to me every day. Hey, when are you going to put on that Lazio shirt? When are you going to tomorrow? Tomorrow. The answer will be tomorrow every time. So, oh my! I mean, did we not? I mean, my gosh! I mean, we good thing we recorded tonight. Good thing we're doing this tonight, and we allowed some. We first of all, we do Tuesday night out of respect to our friends over at Milan Weekly Podcast, Vinny and Stevie. We don't want to conflict, and we know where we stand. We would lose our subscribers to them. We want to try to see if we can collect as many people as possible when we're doing this live on our YouTube channel. So, and Tuesday night's a good spot to do it. And my gosh, we were the lucky ones to wait a day, weren't we?
Yeah. Did you catch the news that happened today? A first tweet I saw about it was our friend Andrew Cesare from ESPN. He said, and I'll read his tweet first. It says, Italian police Colonel Salvaggio Sari had revealed that Juventus set up the citizenship test for Luis Suarez, but are now under investigation. He finished the interview by categorically denying that he's related to Maurizio Sarri. So basically, the story is, back in February, Luis Suarez tried to apply for citizenship for the Italian citizenship. Obviously, they were working on a move for Juventus in the summertime, and he cheated on the test. He told them that he was fluent in Italian. He gets out there, and to quote the Calcio guys, boobity bobbity boobity bobbity, fake the Italian, and they were like, "Dude, you don't speak Italian. What the hell is this shit?" So that citizenship got denied. Now, Juventus are not under investigation by any stretch, but now they're like, what the hell is up with Perugia University? Because that's where this was, I believe it was. And so now it's a lot of things are coming under fire after this failed test, because they're like, have we been sending people there, just to get fake tests or fake citizenships? What's going on here? So it's this telenovela of Italian drama, what the hell?
And so it's basically the Italian version of the old game show, the old quiz show 21, from back in the day. And Luis Suarez was given answers in advance and so on and so forth.
Yes, Rocco, I did lose a bet to Jerry. Happy Giblet Day.
Rocco's checking in. Mr. Bob Lex checking in. Ciao, gentlemen. Good to have you. That is a strange one. I mean, you do this long enough and you're going to get stories like this, I guess. And at the end of the day, Luis Suarez isn't even coming to Italy. He's going to go play for Atletico Madrid. So, this is all done about nothing. And I guess I'm still trying to figure out who gets egg on their face. It seems like everything is being done to make sure that Juventus is completely lily white in this.
Yeah, and the real question is Perugia, who they've been doing this with for. I'm sure it's not just Juventus. Maybe this is like where all the teams go to send their other European players to come in and try to get citizenship. I don't know. So they're under investigation right now, as is Luis Suarez, and this whole story is just comical. I mean, Nima Tavali, a friend of our show, he had this great he has series of tweets, a thread about the whole. All the conversations that are going on. It's hilarious. It could be a book. I mean, wow.
You would think that this would have happened before at least once. So it's surprising that, but it's 2020. I mean, there's going to be a new story just about every week, isn't there? I mean, this Luis Suarez situation, it's just, it's just, I'd love to figure out how Juventus can be guilty in this, but at the end of the day, what are you really going to be able to do to them?
Yeah.
So, I mean, they rigged a test, or they rigged an exam that for Luis Suarez to pass so that he could get his Italian passport and play football in Italy. So,
and I forget someone had a tweet, and I apologize if I can't remember who it was, but they said that Luis Suarez used another person to actually fill out the exam for him. And I forget it's an asinine story. I mean, it's a really, you got to look into this because it's really comical. They're calling it Luis Suarez Gate. I mean, just go search everything about this.
Reminds me of the start of season 2 of The Sopranos, where there's a Chinese kid in there taking Christopher Moltisanti's real estate exam for him.
Yep, exactly like that. Exactly like that.
Oh, you gotta love it. I mean, I think anytime you can kick the champions around, and they have a role in this, at least to some degree, you got to do it. Because it's few and far between. Because what they presented on the pitch, you really can't laugh at. So
yeah, it's pretty good. But we'll get to that.
Yep, we'll get to that. So, man, chat, what did you guys think of the Suarez situation? Maybe Suarez didn't want to meet Chiellini again. I don't think Chiellini wants to meet Suarez again. I think it's the other way around.
Unless he's going to get a kick in the head by Chiellini. I don't know.
I think Chiellini just got the meat back on his shoulder.
So that's why he's been out this whole time.
After that incident in 2014. So who knows? That was the one question I was asking myself. If Suarez was going to go to Juventus, how was that relationship going to work out?
Yeah.
Oh my. So, but we had 7 games to get the season underway, Richard. A handful of teams just didn't get started, and I never caught the reasons for that. But you had Atalanta and Inter and
some big teams.
Spezia didn't play, Benevento didn't play, Udinese didn't play, and
Lazio.
Who?
Lazio.
Was it Lazio? It was Lazio. Okay.
Lazio, Atalanta were the first game.
Okay. All right. So those teams didn't play in the first week. So we got 7 games in, and let's see. Rocco's telling us the University of Perugia is Italy's foremost university for foreigners. That's why Suarez went there. Suarez chews Italian really well, mainly Chiellini's shoulder. Yeah. Drink every time there's a Suarez and Chiellini reference.
There you go. I like that.
There we go. I think that's what our podcast could end up turning into. But let's get into the games and what went down at the weekend. So the curtain was raised with Fiorentina taking on Torino. That ended in a 1-0 win. Gaetano Castrovilli, a lot of people really high on him this season, and he opens the scoring for the Serie A season, assisted by Federico Chiesa, getting Beppe Iachini's men off the board. Balanced game, in terms of possession, but Fiorentina clearly with the chances in this one, and then, dominating the shots, dominating the chances, maybe, deserved a second or third in this, but open with the 1-0 win. And then there's Hellas Verona versus Roma.
What a game, huh?
Yeah, fantastic, dominant display by Hellas Verona, winning by 3-0. And I have no earthly clue who scored the goals. It actually was a 0-0 draw. That just today it was announced that there was an administrative error with Roma's roster, that as a result, Hellas Verona is awarded a 3-0 win. Here's what happened. Amadou Diawara was on the squad list for Roma and was listed as an under 22 player. He's 23. And apparently there's special rules in place for this kind of idiocy where if you botch the roster like this, you automatically take a 3-0 forfeit defeat to Hellas Verona. So 3 brilliant goals that are all goal of the week candidates just because of the ineptitude of Pantaleo Longo, who I might add is out of a job at Roma and just got hired by Hellas Verona.
You can't write this stuff up.
It's 2020, everybody. You can't make it up.
Who won Calcio Twitter nominee right there, front and center?
Yeah.
Oh my
so, but I mean, I picked Roma to finish 8th, and
with this result,
they're helping me out. They're helping me out off the pitch.
Yeah, I will say this about the actual game that was played. I thought, they're certainly missing a killer instinct, a striker up top. Obviously, Dzeko didn't play because there's rumors that he's going to Juventus, and obviously. Arkadio Schmilik is not there. He's in Napoli. I thought the midfield played fairly well. I like the movement with all the players there. Pedro is a new man there with Henrik Mkhitaryan as a false 9, and Jordan Vera too played very well. So I thought the midfield played decent enough. It just didn't have a killer instinct, a killer finisher. And now we know, regardless, Amadou Diawara played as well, and he played well too. Played well too, I should say. But even if they did win that game, they would have had to forfeit. So. It is what it is, but
yeah, the lack of a striker. Okay. The issue here that I have, imagine if that 1 point ends up costing them a European spot at the end of the season.
Yeah.
So, exactly. I mean, just that level of ineptitude. Hellas Verona finally back at the top of the league, first time since 1986. Well done, boys.
Frame it.
You didn't.
It won't last long.
Yeah. Well done. Obviously the lack of a striker like an Aiden Dzeko that probably would have and could have scored, but I mean, still, they had 21 shots. They had 4 on target. They dominated the possession in this game. This was typical of what you see, when Hellas Verona bring a team to the Bentagori. And Ivan Juric is going to grind it out. He's going to let you have the ball. They're going to hope to hit you on the break. So, even with all of the departures that Hellas Verona had, they still are carrying out what they want to do and got out of there with a 0-0, actually, as we knew it back on Saturday. So, and, you lose guys like Kumbula, but you've got Gunter back there who was pretty impressive. Silvestri, obviously, with some key saves. Faraone is still there, working his way down the flank. The pieces are still there. Federico DeMarco now on the left side. Presenting some, ability to get forward and provide some crosses. So, there's some pieces still there for this Hellas Verona. We thought that they were going to be in for a drop off, but fundamentally and characteristically, not a whole lot different to what they're doing. And that's probably going to serve them well.
Yeah, I think, what Ivan Juric is doing there, discipline wise, defensively, they're not going to give up too many opportunities. There's a reason why they had one of the better defenses in the league last year, especially in maybe the first half before the coronavirus stuff. They were very sound defensively. They don't have any superstars. I mean, we got, Kabula and some other guys that, emerged from this. But as long as you're tactically astute, I think, you're going to be able to keep the score low. And that's what Hellas Verona is going to bank on. And I think we're going to see more of that this year. Maybe it's not going to be a surprise like it was last year, and more teams will be more prepared. But it's still going to be a difficult place to go and a team to play against, no matter what.
Let's jump back to the Fiorentina-Torino game before we go into the Sunday games. Real quickly, we're gonna, we can make fun of Roma throughout this entire podcast, but
and I got a Lazio jersey on tonight, so it kind of works for me.
Yeah, the poor bastards have been through enough already. It's been a rough day if you're a Romanisti. But I look at Fiorentina. Cristiano Baraghi is back in his comfort zone, playing as a left wing back for Fiorentina's side that doesn't care if he doesn't track back and can stay forward and can bomb in some. He had 13 crosses in this game. And you got Frank Ribery and Christian Kouame who started up front. But Federico Chiesa is a right wing back in a 3-5-2. I'm having a hard time. I'm having a hard time with this. This can't be something that they can sustain long term. I have an issue with this. I think that this is a waste of his talent.
Oh, it absolutely is. I mean, obviously he's not doing good enough maybe at the right wing spot, or they just have so much options up top that they wanted to have him on the pitch no matter what, and that's where you're going to put him like a Florenzi role. But yeah, it's not a place where he's going to excel. I'm curious to see how he would do, like in maybe like an attacking midfielder role, not necessarily on the wings, but in the middle somewhere. Maybe give him some acreage to run at defenders and distribute that way. Who knows? But right wing back is certainly not a position that I hope to see him too much this season, because he's got far too much talent, and it's going to hurt his chances with the Azzurri if he continues that position.
Yeah, it's rough. It's hard to be a right wing back for your club and then, be expected to play on the right side of a 3-man front.
Yeah.
For your national team, it's going to be hard to adjust. It's why I said, during the Nations League match that he did play in, then I said he's just not a fit for Mancini's system, and we should stop trying to jam him in there and play somebody that like a Berardi that is more of a fit, functionally makes more sense. So it's what it is. I mean, and then Giampaolo, we know it's going to be Belotti and Zaza in attack. He goes with Berenguer and his trequartista in his preferred 4-3-1-2 system. They don't get any points out of this game, but early thoughts on what you thought of Giampaolo's team. I mean, this is what we're going to expect. It feels like this team, the lineup that he put out there definitely fits what he wants to do and how he wants to play. Yes. I prefer Simone Verde to Berenguer, but I like the 3-man midfield of Linetti, Rincon, and Meite.
I do too, and I think you need to have Berenguer out there because he is that good of a player. I thought last year he had a really good season, and I was impressed that because Torino didn't give up a bunch of goals last year. They kept giving goals after goals, and the year before that they were so stout defensively, and so you're like, what's going to give? Are they really weak defensively? Or are they strong? And they looked pretty strong in this game. Like you said, Fiorentina had more of the chances, but they didn't give up anything. All they gave us 1 goal. So, hopefully this, once they get their legs under them, they get used to the system, you'll start seeing more goals, more what we expected from Giampaolo when he went to Milan. And hopefully this is a bounce back year for Torino because they're too good. There's too much talent on this team for them to be at the, fighting for relegation. They should be fighting for European spots. And with the players like Belotti, this is going to be a big year for him to try to get, into the national team, really get into rhythm as we get closer to Euros. So, I do expect this Torino team to be a lot more competent this year, especially defensively, but also offensively, get more goals, get some help for Belotti because he can't do it all.
Right. And 6 shots against this Fiorentina side that is actually pretty solid defensively. Nikola Milenkovic is being talked up, week in, week out is the next big thing as far as defenders. There were some possible discussions that Milan could snatch him. I don't know if they'll be able to meet what Fiorentina is going to be asking for. Total speculation. I didn't see anything from our friend Francesco or from Fabrizio. So I'm dismissing it until they at least start talking about it. But it's there's that. There's I think the center backs Bremer and Kolu are fine. Siragu's fine. Itzo, we've seen him deployed as a right fullback. We've even seen him do it for the national team. So there's that going for them. But realistically, even with as tight as Fiorentina play and as with what they've got, in terms of getting behind the ball and in terms of defending, they should be creating more than 6 chances in a game with the forwards that they've gotten, with some of the players that they've got in place. So hopefully this is kind of one of those work in progress kind of games for Torino and that they work their way up. Zio saying Verona assigned an administrative win, as we mentioned. The last famous administrative win was Atalanta-Napoli. The Partenopei were assigned a 2-0 win because Alamao was hit by a coin thrown by the crowd.
And they won their second Scudetto because of that. Or helped them. It helped them. Then
on their way to winning their second Scudetto. Yes, indeed. Good find. Good find, Zio. So what's happened. At least administrative wins have been handed out before. So
Yep.
So we'll see how much that really punishes Roma. On to Sunday's games, and if you woke up early enough, you saw Parma taking on Napoli at the Tardini. 0-0 in the first half of this one. Napoli with all of the possession, not really carving anything dangerous on goal. Sepe wasn't troubled. And then second half, it was enter Osimhen. And all of the Partenopei completely lost their shit.
Wow. I think all the neutral viewers lost their shit as well, because as soon as he came on, it was an instant impact. And I mean, I was glued to the TV. I was like, what is he going to do next? Because he was contributing to everything offensively, and there's running through him, it seemed like. And I mean, what an impact for your debut.
The impact was there. It was definitely felt. And, Lozano tried to find him on a cross. Only got headed down as far as Dries Mertens. If you're not going to head a ball high and wide, if you're going to head a ball low and central, you're going to get punished. And that's exactly, especially when it's in the path of a goal scorer like Dries Mertens. And that's what happened. 1-0 to Napoli. Napoli continued to put the pressure on, and then it was Lorenzo Insigne putting the game away. 2-0 to the Partenopei. Making a lot of people who had Napoli down this year. I had them 6th. In my preseason predictions, maybe rethinking things a little bit. But here's my devil's advocate take. Okay. And this is what I said. Shortly after the game on Sunday. Yeah, I'm impressed with Osimhen. I was impressed with his beginning. But let's remember who's managing Parma now. Fabio Liverani. Let's remember what he did at Lecce last season. Defending was completely optional for most of the season. It's scattered, it's unorganized, and it's free. It's one thing to have that kind of impact that early. Okay. It's another thing. Can you handle when teams have now seen it and are going to adjust? Because there are some very smart teams in this league. There are some very organized teams in this league that are going to have a look at this and say, all right, here's Osimhen's movements. Here's what Insigne does as a result. Here's what Mertens does as a result. Here's how it all kind of works around him. Let's make sure that we have ourselves organized, that we don't give a whole lot of things away. I'm waiting to see how it looks when a team plays with more compactness against these guys. I don't want to just jump on this Napoli bandwagon right off the bat. And I love our Napoli supporters. They're amazing. But I'm just trying to say, guys, it was fun to watch. But this is a 38-game season, and they're going to have a lot of things thrown at them, especially Osimhen is going to have a lot of things thrown at them.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, we just look back to last year, Lozano, didn't he score in his first game with Napoli and then just disappeared the rest of the season? I'm not saying that's going to happen here. I think, with Osimhen, he is a very special talent, and I think they're going to use his pace, use his size to their advantage for sure, because they need the size. Because other than Koulibaly, and some of the defenders they got, who do they have for size? They don't have much, but I like what I saw. Like, he was instant impact, as I think Matteo Bonetti pointed out during the telecast. It's a classic Italian thing to, your big money player that you bring in, you don't start him, you bring him off the bench, to get a standing ovation, so to say. I'm with you. I don't want to put all the eggs in the basket and all of a sudden change my predictions with Napoli. There are a lot of good teams ahead of them. They're a good team as well. I want to see how they do against the bigger opponents, how they combat the offense from other teams. I want to see how everybody reacts to Atalanta and Juventus and new look Juventus. It's going to be interesting. They're going to be in the mix for sure. They're going to, the way Gattuso has these teams prepared and the way they play, it's going to be tough for everybody, no matter what, no matter who it is. And now they got this little, extra caveat with Osimhen, with the potential of having some goals in there or assists. It's gonna be fun to watch them, and like you, I'm gonna wait and see, and before I really throw my money all down on them. But a good start for them for sure.
I like what I saw. I mean, early on, it's great. But can you sustain that over a 38-game season? And we're talking about somebody that's new to Serie A. So good evening, Sabrina. Glad you could join us. Mm-hmm. Somebody that's new to Serie A, that's coming over from another league. And we had these conversations about, being able to adapt. Romelu Lukaku is an exception to the norm, where he came in and scored 20-plus goals in his first season. Strikers that come over from other leagues tend to struggle. The early returns are positive, but it's been one game. It's against a team that's going to be very loose defensively. We're going to probably see this be the norm with Parma as the season goes on under Liverani, because that's how he plays. That's how he sets up. I want to see Napoli do this against a team that's going to now know that it's coming and be prepared for it.
Since we're talking about Napoli, Higuain's first year, did he get 36 his first year with Napoli, or is it his second year? I can't remember.
I want to say second.
Okay. Yeah. I couldn't remember, but I knew he had maybe it was like 19 the first year. Yeah, you're right. It's hard to come into the league and score a boatload of goals, and Lukaku was certainly an exception of that.
Well, here's how messed up 2020 is, Richard. Genoa won a game 4-1.
Yeah.
Okay. And here's how further messed up 2020 is. Mattia Destro scored a goal.
Yep. Yep. Who scored the second goal?
And 75-year-old Goran Pandev coming in and getting the second goal. You just wanted me to say that.
I did.
So, and then they answer back. Crotone answers back. Emmanuel Riviere getting a nice little near post run and tuck in there on a cross from Molina to get within 2-1. Davide Zappacosta getting on the score sheet, coming over. He's over from Roma, right? And was that a loan or is that permanent?
I'm not positive of that. I feel like it's
Chad, if you know that, help me out. That's one that slipped under my fingers. But Davide Zappacosta gets on the score sheet, making it 3-1 to Genoa at halftime. And then it was Marco Piazza scoring a fourth on an assist from Paolo Giglione. Genoa looked very impressive. Crotone, and really this game was balanced in terms of possession and chances. Genoa scored theirs. Crotone certainly have some adjusting to do defensively. You're not going to with Alex Cordaz in goal and then a back three of Lisandro Magallan, Luca Maroni, and Vladimir Golemic. It's that doesn't scare me. So going to be a long road ahead for Crotone if they're allowing Genoa to ship in 4.
It makes me second guess my my predictions from the previous show because I had Genoa getting relegated and I had Crotone.
They played Crotone. They played a team that you're sending down, or did you? Yeah. No, you're keeping Crotone up.
I was keeping Crotone up, so that's what really makes me look bad.
You're too attached to that jersey.
I am, and I think the Genoa club just happened to listen to our podcast or watch our podcast and was fired up, and we fired them up to a 4-1 win. That's how I'm taking it.
Yep.
Sabrina says looks like it's a loan for Zappacosta. She thinks for 1 year.
For 1 year, okay, that makes sense. Destro being their man up front is just not sustainable. Neither is Pandev. But when you look what's behind him, Milan Badel is a useful and experienced player in this league that can that can protect the defense. Lerner is a guy that's been around a little bit. I think Zajic came over. I want to say, did he come over from Empoli or Brescia? But you got Zappacosta there on the left on loan. Yeah, and then Patton's still in goal. Patton cut his hair. Did you see that?
Yeah, he cut his hair before me. I didn't think that was going to happen.
Oh, yeah. So he's so he gave up. I think that he couldn't compete with your hair, so he just decided to cut his. And Eduardo Goldanaga had a good game here for Genoa, which we don't say that very often about Eduardo Goldanaga, but there you go. You look at Crotone, it's typical of a team that just got promoted. It needs to find its way into this league a little bit. You've got Luca Cigarini sitting there in the midfield who probably doesn't know what he got himself into. I don't think Cagliari wanted to keep him around, so he had to go somewhere.
Yeah. He's going to do anything in that game.
Yep. Mr. Bob Lex, Destro scoring. I'm waiting for an asteroid to hit us now. Hey, Bob, we're not ruling anything out this year, so that might very well happen.
Oh my goodness. Well, let's see if Genoa can continue this momentum in the next game. It's going to be a difficult season. I'm going to hold to that. But yeah, nice way to get the season off to the right start for them. They need it. And
Crotone next play Milan, so it doesn't get any better for them. Sassuolo and Cagliari. Sassuolo, a team we're very high on here on Serie Sit Down. I predicted them to finish 7th. Cagliari managed by Eusebio Di Francesco, expecting a bounce back for both Cagliari and for Di Francesco's career. Yep. So a good game too between these two teams. It ended 1-1. Giovanni Simeone getting on the score sheet from João Pedro in the 77th minute. Manny Burabia with a goal of the week candidate, free kick 3 minutes from time. A game that it's Sassuolo. They're going to shoot, and they shot 33 times with 9 on target. So Cranio having an amazing game yet again. Boy, Alessio Cranio is just –
he's a good keeper. He's a good keeper.
So good. And he's under – he's so under – you're talking about a league that has Gianluigi Donnarumma, has Sami Handanovic, coach is good. Juan Musa was our goalkeeper of the season last year. This is a very good league for goalkeepers, and it's amazing how little Alessio Cragno is spoken about when you talk about top goalkeepers in this league.
And he's usually the third keeper for the Azzurri. I mean, he's that good of a keeper. And it's not like this is a new person on the radar. He's been doing it for the last couple of seasons. And he's getting a lot of experience with getting facing shots every game. So, good for him. He's keeping it up. And I think, I don't know if it was last year or the year before, as soon as he got injured, Cagliari really got, started struggling mightily without him. So it might have been last year, actually. So, he's a very solid keeper, very underrated. I highly rate this goalkeeper, and I think he's certainly going to be part of Mancini's plans going forward for Euros.
The combination of Chiriches and Ferrari playing in that center of defense for Sassuolo, that looks good to me. Manuel Locatelli is going to be a beast this year. Yeah. I think that, he made some progress last season. I think this season he's going to take an even bigger step forward.
I hope he does.
And I hope he does. It's good for him. It'll give Mancini another thing to think about with the depth of midfield that is all of a sudden turned up with the Azzurri. But he had another tremendous game. I'll run through Manuel Locatelli's statistics for you. 101 accurate passes for an 87.8% pass completion percentage, if people are into that. But from that deep midfield position, created 2 chances, 2 crosses, got a shot on target, 1 off target, 3 blocked, was fouled twice, 1 interception, 3 tackles, and even dribbled past people twice. So, I think that you're seeing with Locatelli, you're seeing an all-around game. You're seeing a guy that covers a ton of ground. And when you've got a guy like that, the 3-man attacking midfield in front of them has such an easier job to just be the playmakers that they are when you're talking about Berardi, Juricic, and Haraslin. It's a pity that they didn't come away with 3 points. They certainly deserved it, and I think that speaks to Cragno's performance. But what we saw with Sassuolo in this game on Sunday is indicative of why we're so high on them.
Absolutely. And, another year under De Zerbi's system, you really think all the players are going to blossom even more, especially Locatelli. If, like you said, if he does the role that he can do, he's capable of doing, it's going to free up the guys in the attack. And we thought that they scored a lot and played so beautifully last year. Now it's going to free them up even more. It's Sassuolo, and they also figured out how to play defense, at the end of the last year. So this could be a team, like you said, we're both rating them pretty high. I had them finishing 8th. You had them finishing 7th. They're going to give a lot of teams headaches. And I'm excited to see what this team can do and what these youngsters can do. They kept the players. They kept the necessary players. They added a couple. They're going to be fun. Not just fun, but they're going to be fun this year.
They're going to be fun. And I'm not, as a Milan supporter, I'm certainly not looking forward to playing them.
I know Inter's sweating as well. So
yeah, Inter always has problems with them. On to the champs. And boy, did they start the season off in style against Sampdoria. They win 3-0. They get 8 shots on target to just 1 for Sampdoria. They had possession for 2/3 of the game. They completed 90% of their passes throughout the game. Welcome, Andrea Pirlo. Welcome to Serie A football. Who said this team is untrainable? The manager before him did. Goal of the week candidate, and this is my goal of the week. What a way to make your debut for the old lady. Dejan Kulusevski on an assist from Cristiano Ronaldo. Curling finish for him. Uncle Sharma's going to sleep already, Richard. These Inter guys, they can't hang.
You act like you're in the UK or something.
Yeah. All right. Dejan Kulusevski, this is the goal of the week. Curling ball in from Cristiano Ronaldo. 1-0 there. Leonardo Bonucci getting on the score sheet in the 78th minute, and then Cristiano Ronaldo getting his first goal of the 2020-2021 campaign to seal the deal. There's lots to unpack with this Juve team and this performance. And
let's start with the lineup. The starting lineup in this one, it had a lot of people like scratching their heads. They're saying what kind of balls Pirlo has. Frabotta starting at left back, McKennie starting in the midfield. With Rabiot. We all knew Kulusevski was going to start. Cuadrado obviously playing right wing back. Ballsy choice by him, and it paid off.
I'm a huge fan of this 3-5. I'm a huge fan of this lineup. I'm a huge fan of Kulishevsky and Ronaldo up front.
Yeah.
For me, and I know that they're spending a decent amount of money for him, but Alvaro Morata better be a off the bench 60th minute substitute. That's a striker that they're at a stage in the game where they've got to get somebody in the box and get balls delivered into them, because I love the dynamism of what Kulishevsky, we talked about this on our preview pod. We talked about this on Calcio Connection. Love the dynamics that these two guys can bring, because it's going to be so unpredictable what they're going to be doing going forward. Yeah. And then they're going to drag runners, and that's going to open Ramsey up, and that's going to allow McKennie got in. How many times did McKennie get in the box? We haven't even gotten to McKennie either with his debut for Juve. He was incredible.
Absolutely.
But yeah, your point for Bota starting, on the left.
He played well.
Yeah, he was very good. Having confidence in a young player and putting him in right off the bat. Danilo on the right side of a back three. Cuadrado, it looks a little bit more natural now, rather than being a fullback. He's playing just a little bit more advanced.
This is more Sarri ball than what we saw at all last year.
This team is scary, and this is why I think they'll win this league by 8 to 10 points.
I was very impressed with what I saw out there. Obviously, Kulusevski brought what he did to Parma last year. You could see it in the match, the change of pace, the freaking finishing ability on that goal. And then, having the youngster like Frabotta, having the confidence in him, and then he pays you back by having a pretty decent game himself. This team is they played well, and yeah, it's the first game against Sampdoria. They struggled last year, but I like what I saw. Weston McKennie brought everything that I thought he was going to bring to the match. You were talking about passing percentage. I think he had a 90% passing percentage as well. He brought that grit, that tiger in the midfield that they really needed, that bite. And I saw one of the Juventini, and I forget who it was. They said, Kulusevski and McKennie better start every game after what they saw, and I agree with them. I mean, I don't know if they can keep it up for the whole season, but man, they both brought it.
But let's play devil's advocate. Sampdoria stinks.
It's Sampdoria.
Sampdoria stinks.
Yeah.
We'll see. I mean, they got off 15 shots and they only one on target. Let's see. So, yeah, we'll get to Rocco's question here in a minute. But they stink. But the pieces are decent. It's just it doesn't work together. I mean, De Pauli is going to be all right for him. He can tend to be a nuisance when he's on his game. Morten Thorsby's an improving midfield player. He actually was pretty solid in this one.
Yeah.
But Bonazzoli is not a threat in the sense that Gabbiadini or Quagliarella are. I think that Ranieri had the right idea with his tactics, but I think at the end of the day, this is a team that was just overwhelmed when it comes to playing Juventus. They're in Sampdoria is in survival mode this season, and this is 3 points that they could not have had a prayer of expecting to get. They just are going to have it together when they're playing the teams that are going to be around them this season.
I think so. It's going to be difficult for them going forward to mount any kind of serious threat to any of these the top half teams. We saw what happened against Juventus. They're not going to get blown out by any measure, and this game probably you could label as a blowout in a sense, but they don't have the quality. They don't, a lot of the stars, or their main star is aging. He's 40 years old now almost. He's not going to get it done. And the cast around them, they're okay. They have no depth on that team. While I love Bonazzoli and some of the other guys on that team, they're simply not good enough. And I think, like you said, maybe they should just, put all their chips in when they play against these bottom five teams and really try to get all the wins they can out of those games, because playing teams in the top 6, top 7, it's going to be a point alone. It's going to be hard to come by, let alone 3. So they need to just really, save face in those games and then really go all at it for those games against Genoa, Crotone, and so on and so forth. So it's going to be hard, long season.
Sure. Rocco, Richard, I want your opinion on your boy McKennie. Well, Rocco, watch what happened between Bayern and Schalke on Friday to find out how good McKennie is. I'm sorry to keep bringing that up, Richard.
Yeah, no, you know what? McKennie is he was missed for Schalke for sure, but what I saw from Schalke, I was wondering how he would do against with better quality teammates around him. And boy, did he deliver, in my opinion. I thought he had an excellent game in this one. He did not look like he was, out of step or anything. He linked up very well with players around him. found Ronaldo a lot. They kept showing pictures of him looking lovingly at Ronaldo all the time. I guess I would too, if I get to play with him. But the touches he had, I mean, his reaction time was quick. He never kept the ball for more than like a couple seconds. I mean, he knew where he wanted to go before he got the ball. I don't think I saw him turn over the ball once. I think one time he did, and he ended up getting it back. He was all over the pitch, and defensively, he was aggressive on the ball. Anytime they didn't have the ball, he was one of the first guys on it. I was impressed with his game. Can he keep it up? We'll see. But one thing you're going to get game in and game out is that that 100% heart, and that's what the Juventus midfield need, and they needed for the last couple of years. And we'll see how he does in the bigger games for sure. Just like we said with Napoli, when they start playing stiffer opponents, let's see how he does. But I was certainly impressed, and I know a lot of people were impressed. You look online during the game or just after the game, and I mean everybody's raving about him, and for good reason.
I mean, you got a long way to go before you even talk about putting this midfield on par with the 2015 midfield. But
and I don't think it'll be
a long way to go. But I think it's
it's a start.
I don't want to get ahead of myself because I'll be hypocritical because I just got done talking about Napoli. It's one game, chill out.
Yep.
But I can't help but think that I'm already believing that this Juve midfield is better than any midfield that they've had in the last 2 to 3 years. But
I wonder how Arthur is going to fit into this. I mean, we know,
right.
On paper the skill set he has, but can he mesh up with the rest of the guys? And that's what we were curious about McKennie. And so far it looks like he's fine. I think Arthur will be fine as well, but you never know until you actually see the product on the pitch. And if he does well, it's a very strong midfield. We didn't even, and seeing Bentancur out there as well, and Dybala when he gets out there. I mean, there's some key pieces that were not there in that game. They still were impressive.
Signora Pirlo, please don't try to jam Morata into this team. Please don't. This looks very hard for teams to figure out. Morata is a central striker where he's going to be much more predictable to deal with. So, this has the makings of a Juve team that could be as exciting as, we're talking about Juve being exciting. We're not talking about Juve being resourceful and, professional and efficient and workmanlike, getting to, 1-0 and 2-0 wins. So we'll see what happens. And again, good teams have seen it now. Good teams will figure out what to do differently. And how will Juve adjust to that? How will Pirlo, with its inexperience as manager, adjust to that?
Yep.
But exactly. With what we saw performance-wise from this team is why I think they'll win this title by 8 to 10 points. So, and then Monday it wrapped up with Milan and Bologna, a 2-0 win for the Rossoneri. Zlatan on the double. And top of the Capocannonieri race at the moment, right? I think he's the only one that came away with 2?
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay.
I believe so.
Yeah, so Milan in control of this game. Bologna came out. They were good here in the first 10 minutes. Put Milan under some pressure, asked some questions, and then Milan started getting into the flow of the game a little bit. Wonderful cross from Teo for Zlatan's goal, and then the penalty rightfully called there with Benacer brought down in the penalty area. So Zlatan gets the penalty, and then Pioli making the comments after the game saying, we somewhat stopped playing after that second goal, and it made it dangerous because Bologna nearly got back into it, and they nearly did. And then Dykes getting the second yellow, getting sent off, somewhat killed the game. I think Bologna were still trying to figure out how they could work their way back in it with one man down, but that made the task a little bit easier for Milan to close the game out and go away with a 2-0 win. Donnarumma made some key saves in this game. I would say, and I said this on Twitter, this is an efficient win for Milan. This is with a team like Bologna, it's a team that you really do have to take a cautious approach. You can't sell out, to beat them because they've got such quality going forward between Barrow and Orsolini, and Palacio got the start in the striker position. So, I found it to be a very professional performance from Milan. I thought that they still had their hiccups. There's some issues. Castelleo was terrible, and was rightfully substituted. Salamakers was a little bit better when he came on. But I think the guys I want to highlight is maybe some of these unsung guys like Davide Calabria, who has had to, work his way back and work and has had to earn his place as a right back. And We talked about right back not being a position that Milan addressed with quality. They did it with quantity. Calabria and Conti hoping they get better. Kalulu coming into this picture somehow. But I'm also going to give high marks to Matteo Gabbia. I thought that he turned in a pretty professional performance as well. I thought that Kessie was solid too. And I think that Ante Rebic's second half was better than his first, but a Milan team that put in a professional performance in beating Bologna on Monday.
Yeah, I agree. It was definitely a professional performance. I wasn't, and maybe just me being more of a stickler with them, supporting them, but the defense looks shaky at times. I think Kiar is. I'm glad we have him back there because he's really the rock behind there. And you saw when he went off and Duarte came on, it looked like Bologna was going to score immediately.
Yep.
But I thought, like you said, you were talking about Calabria. I thought he was man of the match for me. And to quote Martino Puccio, he even mentioned it on Twitter. Everyone knew that Musabaro was the guy that was going to be the danger man for them because he's got pace, he's got the tricky moves, and he can finish. Calabria shut him down all match. And the highlight that I think Martino showed in that tweet, kept shutting him down left and right, and his touches were excellent in that game. So I really liked him for sure. I agree about Castillejo. He was pretty poor in that game, and many people were screaming for him to come off, and many people wanted Tonali to come on, but it was Salamaker, and Salamakers did okay. Rebic and Zlatan do their thing. It was nice to see Brahim and Tonali come on for just a few minutes, but I agree that Kessie was probably one of the better players in that game, along with Donnarumma. And Teo Hernandez, at times he was shaky defensively, but offensively, that cross that he had into Zlatan for the first goal, what a precision pass there by him. So overall, decent performance. If I give him a ranking out of 1 out of 10, I would probably give that game probably 7 with them. It was decent. And like we said with Napoli and Juventus, I want to see how they play against the bigger teams. Because we're all wondering what Pioli is going to do this year with now the added pressure of, okay, you did that in the second half last year. Let's see if you can get in the Champions League this year. So,
well, you know what you're going to get with Bologna. They're pesky. Mihailovic is going to set up to give you fits. He's going to have them work, incredibly hard. And they, like I said, they've got enough creativity going forward. I think that, and a lot of people on Twitter were raving about him. He's got a very impressive defender in Tomiyasu back there. And I think that I was impressed with Scouten also in midfield. Recovered some balls, started some attacks and things like that. I think that his work rate was really good in this game. I thought that he was maybe one of the better players for Bologna in this match. I'd probably say those two were the better players in Bologna's setup, but you know what you're going to get with them. It's Orsolini who's going to give you a lot of the creativity. You've got Barrow who's capable of scoring goals. I think Palacio starting up front maybe did Milan a favor.
Yeah.
This stage in his career, I just don't think, he's the guy I'd use. I'm still a fan of, for as long as you can do it, if you're going to play this 4-2-3-1 at Bologna, it's got to be Sansoni, Soriano, and Orsolini, and Barrow's got to lead the line. He went a little bit different in this game. He played Barrow off to the left, and maybe because he thought that he could exploit Calabria, and Calabria had that man of the match performance, as you said. Yep. I think that's what you go with, and it's surprising to me that he chose to go that path instead. Lorenzo De Silvestri on the right side of his 4-3-3 now. He's in the fold there at Bologna. He's much better as a wingback in a three-man in front of a three-man defense. So we'll see how that works out a little bit. I thought he was average in this game, nothing jaw-dropping. He had his issues maybe dealing with Teo going forward. But I think that Bologna was what they are. I think the players that stood out for me, and it's probably contribute to what Pioli said, is that Milan stopped playing. But I thought Svanberg when he came in, Skov-Olsen, Sansone, those players really gave Bologna more of an attacking, difficult sense to defend against when they were out there together. It was, of course, late in the game, but I thought they played quite well. And not having Musa Juara, start the game or play in the game at all, that was head scratching to me because we were so high on him last year. He's a youngster, I get it, but he's talented.
Put
Svanberg
Shaw-
for me should probably play where Dominguez is playing.
Yeah.
Where he can work behind that attacking midfield three, and he can keep the ball and he can distribute it. And he's a very technical. I think he's more technical than Dominguez.
Yeah.
And then you've got Scouten, who's doing a lot of work. Pretty much an engine room guy. He had 5 interceptions and 4 tackles in this game. So he is the ball winner in that midfield. And you can pair Svanberg next to him, who could probably be the playmaker from a little bit of a deeper lying position, and get the ball, to the more attack-minded playmaking midfielders in front of him. So, just little tweaks. It was interesting in the way they were set up, but still pesky enough. And first 10 minutes, looked the better team and looked like they could have gone on and gotten a goal and gotten themselves ahead of Milan.
Yeah.
So Milan was, the Rossoneri settled in, got that first goal, and then worked to get that second goal. And as Pioli said, an issue with them, stopping playing, which allowed Bologna to get back into it. And, the old saying goes, the 2-goal lead is the most dangerous one to have in the game. And, Bologna nearly got one to make it interesting and have us all on the edge of the seats for the last 10 minutes of the game.
Yeah, Donnarumma had to make a big save towards the end. Otherwise, it would have been 2-1 and game on with 10 minutes to go.
Yep. So, goals of the week. I have a top 3. I don't have a top 5 this week. Tied for third is all 3 goals that Hellas Verona scored.
I agree with that.
Win over Roma. I don't know who scored them. I don't know who's getting credit for them, but it's going to be several years before we see goals like that again. So,
classic.
Number 2, I'm going with Mehdi Barabia's free kick to I shouldn't say rescue a point for Sassuolo, but that's what it was because they were behind a goal, to Cagliari. But with how many chances that they carved out in that game, shameful that they didn't go on and win that or get 3 points out of it. But Barabia's free kick for me, number 2. And then I'm going with Kulishevsky. His debut goal for Juve is the goal of the week.
I like that. I'll do Barabia, number 3 for me. Zlatan goal, more so the assist from Teo Hernandez as number 2, and Kulusevski, no doubt about it, number 1. What a brilliant finish! But I mean, if you watch that replay, just the bend around the defender, jaw dropping.
Yeah. Wow. Winners and losers for me this week. Winner, I'm gonna go. Well, loser is an easy one. It's Roma.
Yeah.
How do you let that happen? All the way around, it's just ugly.
Yeah.
Winners, all of us. Calcio's back, and it's back with a bang. We had 7 intriguing games. We had 7 intriguing games. We have what happened with Roma, botching and forfeiting a 3-0 result to Hellas Verona because of they don't know how old their players are. We have what happened with the fixing an exam for Luis Suarez. Calciopoli extends to the universities. We win. We won this week.
Yeah.
We're the winners.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. I agree 100% with all that.
You got a winner and loser, or
the same.
Okay,
ones.
perfect. And speaking of winners, now let's get to everybody. You got to, you know what? I think your assignment is finding some good theme music for this. Some good, cheesy game show theme music.
For who won Calcio Twitter, yeah.
Yeah, who won Calcio Twitter? This is what everybody really hangs out for. They don't really care about our opinions about Calcio. This is what it's become. All right, we're going to start with Uncle Sharma. With a picture of Mourinho on his phone saying Mourinho making burner accounts to call Conte a wig-wearing, cheating Juventino scum on Instagram.
That was funny. That was very funny.
Good. Well played. At Semo33XX, that's SEMO. Juve kits this season look fine with a picture of the referee's kits.
That was great.
The Calciopoli digs just never, they never get old, do they?
No, they don't.
So, let's see. Chiesa di Totti. Dang, ADL Aurelio De Laurentiis is more vindictive than Sally May. Arik Milik deal progressing despite De Laurentiis' insistence that the player pays an outstanding fine from last year. We're going to sell you and we're going to make money, but before we sell you and make money, you have to pay us some money too.
Yeah, that's awesome. Oh, man.
Let's see. What more Roma? Here we go. Wayward Gelorossi at Roma 17. You ever feel a fart build up, and when it comes time, you just get a disappointing poof? That was Roma today.
That was pre-forfeit. That was pre-forfeit.
That was pre-forfeit. I nominated myself. The Genoa Crotone game. During the Genoa Crotone game, because I happened to catch this gem. Mattia Destro acting like he never scored before because he's never scored before. How are you a striker in Serie A this long? How do you still have a job when you can't score goals in this? He has compromising pictures of just about every owner. He has to.
Yeah,
he has to. Okay. Our dear friend at Dr. Russo at Dr. Russo 2235. This was from during the Parma-Napoli game. Kuchka has fouled everyone on the field and my nonna, and he still doesn't have a yellow card.
He finally did get a yellow card at the end, but that's awesome. That's funny.
And Dr. Russo, we hope your nonna's feeling better.
Yeah, we do. We do.
That has for an old lady, that has to hurt. Milan bangers. If you're a Milan supporter and you're not following this account, you're not doing life right. At AC Milan _SA. We are going to start the season with Gabbia and Kjaer as our center backs, with Calabria at right back and Salamander at right midfield. Can't even be inconvenienced to get the guy's name right. And MT Milan Twitter is mad because Costa Corta doesn't think we'll win the Scudetto.
Milan Twitter. Oh my God.
Gotta love them. They're wonderful people. Flappy Hansky at Fabianski. FAAABIANSKII. Lazio are allegedly interested in a $15 million deal for Mustafi. Medicals have already been scheduled to check up on Lazio's scouting team's mental health.
That was good. That's good. That is good. That's great.
That's a zing.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, let's see. And then let's see. We've got a couple more.
Here we go.
We've got a couple more. Nicholas Di Giovanni, our friend over at the Calcio guys, at N_DIGIOVANNI. Suarez at his exam. It is a GIF of Peter Griffin from Family Guy pretending to be Italian, going boppity boopity.
Oh my, that's what we're for so far.
Yeah, that's a good one. Chiesa di Totti with another entry, and I think that this just speaks in general to the person that he's referring to, that this is the contestant. So Pantaleo Longo, the guy who was likely responsible for the Diawara listing error against Hellas Verona, is getting a job with Hellas Verona. I have no words.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my. All right. So we got to pick a winner out of those.
There's one more from Nima. Okay. He said, this is Nima. He's saying, only thing that would make this Mercato worse is Ranocchia and Gagliardini staying while Skriniar and Nainggolan are sold. Inter, challenge accepted.
Oh my goodness. All right.
Those are good.
Oh man, as much as Nicholas Di Giovanni's is excellent, and it's the one that everybody's going to all point to, but I'm handing it over to Fabianski. I thought that was clever. Yeah. Because so he's for me, he won Calcio Twitter. What do you think?
That was mine until Nick, our friends from the Calcio guys, he did the boopity boppity from Family Guy. That had me dying. So that just edges it for me. So both of those were hilarious.
You're just trying to get back on their pod. Oh my! What was yours? Go to @Serie Sitdown on Twitter or on Instagram. European competitions, Champions League, Europa League are we're getting to the qualifying stage. The only team of note, Milan, Thursday hosting Bodo Glimt of Norway. And Pioli's putting some importance on this game, and especially because Bodo Glimt hasn't lost since the Obama administration, it seems, or at least in Norway. They've got a pretty lengthy winning streak, or a pretty lengthy unbeaten run. So I expect a little bit of shuffling there on Thursday, but not something that should be too daunting for Milan to handle, is it? Especially with it at the San Siro.
No, I think it'll be a similar result as we had against the Shamrock Rovers. 2-0, very professional win. Nothing too crazy.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to overextend themselves to try to score a half dozen goals or anything like that. They're going to just get their way through it over 90 minutes and get the win and move on. So, yeah. All right. So and then coming back to that Who Won Calcio Twitter, you had Nick DiGiovanni, and I have got Fabianski as our winners. So, all right. So we'll call it a tie, but those guys won Calcio Twitter. Again, at Serie Sitdown on Twitter, Instagram. Who do you think won Calcio Twitter? And with that, Mr. Bob is going with the Mustafi one as well. So, but with that, we'll put a bow on this edition of Serie Sitdown. Shameless plug time, Richard.
You can always follow me at R_KHARMAN, as the name says right there. And anywhere on social media. And then, of course, follow our YouTube page. We'll try to get some more videos here at the beginning of the season and throughout the season. So
I'm at FTC_21. Check out the Lazio Lounge YouTube page, where I am featured among some dynamite people that got to go on video there and offer the predictions for top 6 or top 7 over the season. Rocco, if you're still there, Rocco was one of them as well.
Yep.
But Chloe Beresford, Adam Digby, Carlo Garganese, Alistair weighed in, Rocco, myself, Nima, and I can't remember. I think there was one more.
Who of Calcio?
I still have no idea why they asked me, but I was honored and glad to give my take. So, but anyway, so go check that out. Otherwise, you can find me at FTC_21. I already said that. Serie Sitdown. We have our own channel on Apple Podcasts, on SoundCloud. We can be found on Stitcher, Spotify, iHeartRadio, wherever there's podcasts. You can find Serie Sitdown. I think we're on Pandora too, aren't we?
We're everywhere.
We're everywhere. You can't get away from us.
No.
So do check us out on any of those platforms. You can please drop a like if you enjoyed this video. Subscribe to the channel. As Richard said, we'll be trying to drop videos. I keep saying I'm procrastinating, but I will. You
did well in Lazio Lounge, so
I appreciate it. I got to get more. I can't use my phone. I've got to get better video equipment.
Better than nothing.
Yep, it's better. It is better than nothing. So we will certainly. Stevie, we're almost done. Are we live?
We're barely alive and kicking.
Yeah. I think Stevie's used to us going an hour and 45 minutes, so he thought he could come here halfway. Stevie, we're already done.
Surprise.
Yep,
2020.
Surprise. Yep, 2020. Six aside, Calcio. Hi, guys. How's everything going? Everything's going great. Thank you guys for checking in with us after we're done.
So, we're just as surprised as you are that we're done already.
I can't believe we did this in an hour. It's amazing. It's 2020. So press rewind, Stevie. Press rewind. All right. So at Serie Sitdown on Twitter, Instagram, drop comments, drop questions on anything that you would want us to have covered on future podcasts. We're also available on Facebook as well. So match week 1 is in the books. Match week 2, let's just take a quick glance because I think there's some pretty interesting games next week, Richard. Before we sign off for sure, as long as we've got people. Torino and Atalanta on Saturday will kick things off. Cagliari hosting Lazio, Sampdoria, Benevento, and Inter Fiorentina. So we'll get to see a handful of these teams that haven't played yet. And then on Sunday we have 5 games. Spezia making their Serie A debut against Sassuolo. Hellas Verona against Udinese. Hopefully Udinese will get their roster right. Napoli hosting Genoa, Crotone hosting Milan, and then Roma hosting Juventus on the 27th.
That'll be good.
Yep, finishing off on Monday with Bologna hosting Parma. So that is match week 2 for everybody. Everybody in the chat, bravo. Thanks for bringing it. Thanks for your comments. Thanks for chatting with us. Helps make the show go that much faster too. So very much appreciated. We'll be back next week. For Richard, I'm Frank. Make sure you tell your paisans about us. Ciao.